Bienvenidos a mi viaje en Ecuador. I'm about to take you on a journey into my trip filming a series in the middle of Ecuador. Now, how did I manifest this experience? First of all, I was contacted in July of 2023 with the opportunity to film a show. It came completely unexpectedly. And to be honest with you, I first felt a little bit anxious about it. I've never had an opportunity like this before. And up until that point, my filming experience has been limited to me and my own camera with no other observers, camera crews, or individuals involved. But as soon as I got this opportunity, it felt like a manifestation because my intention has always been and will be to expand consciousness, to bring people a message that connects them with their soul. And this opportunity was exactly aligned with that. The company is a very conscious one, focused on holistic content, healing, and connecting people with the soul of nature and the world. When I started to think about what I would be sharing in the show, immediately I realized that I need to be showing consciousness through different angles, and that this was the opportunity that my higher self must have manifested in order to make this possible. Because by being in nature, submerged in new elements, feeling the energy of this land that I had never been to before, I knew that I would be able to portray consciousness and convey certain deeper themes in a way that I never had the opportunity to in the past. It would be raw, it would be organic, it would be something that really brings out the natural element within me. I needed to lean into my knowing and recognize that this would be a time for me to bring my best energy, my highest frequency. And with that, negative outcomes can't really manifest. I believe so strongly that when you choose to be in the flow with the universal flow, miracles happen, wonder is born, and you're able to find that the universe really has your back because what you're doing is choosing to maintain energetic alignment in the moment when the opportunity arises. So this is where the fun begins. The film production crew needed to know what I would be talking about for this show, but as most of you know, I don't exactly plan ahead when I film content. Everything that comes out is streamed in the moment from the heart without prior rehearsal. And so their first question for me was, are you going to need a teleprompter? To which I immediately answered, I cannot use a teleprompter because using one completely removes me from the state of alignment. They were of course confused, had no idea how I would be just talking about the sorts of concepts that I do in the moment in Ecuador, but alas, I started to convince them that with just key themes of awareness, I would be able to put together a flow that connects certain areas of consciousness as they are applicable to aspects of the human experience. The concept of the show is science of the soul. And so that's the main theme that I sort of downloaded before the production even began. I knew that I needed to extrapolate these deeper themes of energy, love, unity consciousness, oneness, the nature of awareness, the subjective nature of reality, and even the holographic nature of the universe, and how those themes are particularly relevant to all of our lives, including in relationships, in career, in our personal development, and in our awareness of both ourselves and everything else in reality. Each episode can be thought of as a lesson, and these 9 to 10 lessons that we devised would create an entire course of a series, because this TV show is really designed to catalyze people's awareness by offering them these very specific nuggets of awareness that will allow them to achieve a spontaneous shift in awareness. By connecting these dots between the different bodies of consciousness and the planes of experience, the idea is to give you an opportunity to really connect to a higher archetype of yourself and to see really the soul of the universe in different components or fractals of everyday life. And so as such, we started the filming process. And this is where the fun really began. So as most of you know, when I channel, here's what typically happens. I am in such a flow state that I'm detached from my own emotions. I end up looking pretty monotone. Sometimes people say I look like AI. Sometimes there's a robotic expression that comes through because I'm so focused on delivering the energy and literally becoming the instrument of this consciousness that wants to flow through me that I forget about myself. I'm not thinking about my appearance. I'm not trying to look cute or sexy or entertaining. I'm simply focused on being the conduit for this wisdom to be channeled through me. And so the experience is somewhat limiting because my mind is not entangled with my physical being in that moment. I'm simply focused on this higher dimensional flow state which allows me to be most surrendered and in the moment to deliver all the information that wants to come through. Because of this, what can happen is I talk too fast, which is something that I often receive criticism about. People often say, slow down. Why can't you just make this more easily accessible to people? Well, the key is that if I'm really in my flow state, what ends up happening for me is I feel like a universal faucet opens up. Imagine like a waterfall of consciousness coming through you, physically entering the crown chakra and being received by the brain in such a way that there is a large volume of information. It's physically dense. And that information wants to come through in such a way that it is unadulterated by my mind. It's something that I cannot just reduce. I can't close that faucet because then I won't be able to access the universal tap. And so what I need to do is be in a mode of surrender and acceptance and neutrality, where my own emotions, my mind, my intentions from the conscious mind's perspective do not interfere with the flow that wants to be channeled through me. And so I need to allow myself to be passive. What that probably physiologically and neurophysiologically does to me is it puts me in a gamma brainwave state. That's my best guess. Maybe I need to do an EEG to test this theory out. Because when I'm talking so fast, what's happening is I'm just responding to this great influx of information that's coming through my higher self, or this connection that I have to the field at large. So I cannot really stop this flow. I can't make myself talk slower. And it turns out in Ecuador, this became a problem. What happened was this film crew was starting to understand my style as we went through the production. They were completely baffled with how much information could come through in a single episode. After the first episode, they told me, slow down. You've got to talk slower because this information isn't going to be easily accessible to people, even though the Spanish-speaking viewers are going to be watching the edition with subtitles. What I had to do was to think about, how can I make this awareness accessible to people, meanwhile not diminishing my own connection to myself? And the real challenge came in when it came to taking the channeling process into a real-world environment, which was constantly something I needed to adapt to in my physical body. What I'm not used to is having distractions, interruptions, people all around me telling me what to do, how I'm looking, or how to adjust my speech in order to accommodate the filming expectations.
You got the pins?
The pins are in here, but this will just be like this. There's plenty of spray.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Ah, perdón. Espérate, Denis.
And so this was really the biggest challenge for me, which I'm super grateful for because it provided me the opportunity to learn how to adjust myself to stay in flow given the really complex filming conditions. Because the way that the filming environment really played out was dependent on so many different factors. The temperature, the weather, the background conditions, the style of the filming itself, and even the technical issues the film crew occasionally dealt with were all factors that impeded with my channeling flow. And so how does a channeler respond to these active real-world conditions? Well, only by choosing to channel regardless of all these factors at play.
It's okay.
¿Qué pasó?
Así lo vamos a grabar y no se nos va a
No, pues
venir
no da
encima.
ahí.
No, y
No le
aparte
podemos
se
dar.
ve el-
No, ahí no podemos, no le pueden alzar más.
Hay que mandarlo para atrás,
claro.
bajarlo y ponerlo en su...
Hagamos eso.
Pero subamos esto también, pues. Esto.
No, se tiene que bajar para poder instalarle el fierro.
Ah, claro. Claro.
No, pero no aquí pues.
Pero
Aquí.
se queda.
Ay, Dios mío.
Dennis, you are dealing with them. That's what happened.
Bajar esto.
Now I want you to imagine, I'm sitting on a chair with some lovely backdrop behind me. We're in nature, and we're trying to always film in a different location because where we were actually filming was on an eco-retreat site. It's a beautiful center that's still being built out to accommodate healing experiences, sacred medicine circles, where elders will come in and actually share their wisdom and do some spiritual retreats and healings on people. And there was construction actively happening as we were filming this series. So what we were trying to do is to hide from the construction at play and all the noises and the different people coming in and out of the retreat center, meanwhile keeping a serene and natural environmental flow around us at all times. What I dealt with was this kind of process of hearing my director tell me, Gabby, 3, 2, 1, go. Start channeling. JC?
Ok.
Sí, ya corté. Sí, corté.
Yo estoy grabando, chicos, graben de nuevo.
Grabando.
Go, my friend.
Have you ever wondered how you can naturally heal from within?
Te me metiste, creo que manita. Ahí. Corten.
And so I had to figure out, how do I take all these ideas brewing in my head from the day before, already thinking about the certain theme that I want to be expressing in my series that day, to then needing to adjust myself when we'd have to stop. Corten, chicos, he would say all the time.
Corten.
We have background noise. We have some bulldozer coming behind us, or we have some dogs barking, or all of a sudden the sun is hitting us in the wrong angle. And so imagine me getting into my serious mode, trying to channel this wisdom that's coming through in my head, or outside of my head, but then feeling the interference as something that is not something I can even control. One of my main takeaways from this entire journey was that it isn't the flow state that is difficult to enter. It's the drained body that has a difficult time maintaining connection to the flow state. Because in order to be a channeler, to have this experience of connecting to the transcendent nature of the field, and to take in etheric knowledge, and to physically vocalize it, you need to be connected. You've got to be cohesive. And so this comes down to the organization of consciousness across these different layers of our physical being. We have a physical, vital body of consciousness. We have an emotional. We have a mental body of consciousness, and these higher supramental layers, wherein that higher dimensional information can really be accessed from. And so if the physical body is burdened by the physical conditions, if you're physically hot, if you're tired, as I had to be walking around fire and having that in my face, and then if I need to quickly move over and start talking about whatever topic needs to come through in that moment, I'm feeling a disconnect. And so that disconnect was something that I needed to learn how to bridge by maintaining my channeled focus. What also proved to be a challenge is that when we got to our last episode, we were filming by the ocean. It was a beautiful, beautiful spot, and the most serene place I've ever gotten to film content in my life. But the challenge was the background noise. The ocean has such a meditative quality to it that I felt my awareness actually moving into the ocean when I was trying to channel the last episode. So what it felt like for me was, I'm trying to disassociate from my physical being in order to receive this information, but if I'm kind of in this interdimensional space in my own awareness, I found myself moving into the ocean instead of moving into the awareness of what I was trying to channel, because that white noise was overpowering. It was all around me, and I felt so drawn to take in the environment as opposed to staying in the moment and just allowing the flow to come through. So essentially, that was the challenge. It was an understanding that in order to maintain this channeling experience, I needed to bypass all of these distractions that my conscious mind was receiving by strengthening my own connection to the subconscious, which is entangled there with the higher self. In order to stay purely connected, I needed to loosen my grip, loosen my ego's connection to all of these distractions, and just surrender, just flow with it. And so many times throughout the filming of this show, I would just be sitting, patiently waiting, allowing the film crew to do whatever they needed to do, not getting stressed out by little mic checks and different moments where they would tell me, you know, Gabby, you're sweating a little bit, gotta use the oil blotting sheets or do something else in order to get myself to look the way that I needed to for the production. It was a really interesting experience of going from this very higher dimensional state in which I can often be, as you know, disassociated, focused so much on what's coming through that I'm not even focusing on my physical body, to realizing that in this moment, everything is being captured. The way my physical being is presenting the information is just as important as the information being expressed.
Let's go.
Okay, capítulo 4.
Take 2.
Yeah, take 2. So one of the team members taught me a beautiful exercise about connecting to the sun's element, which is an exercise that is often done in the Ecuadorian tradition upon sunrise or sunset.
Yeah,
But you want to repeat that phrase?
Only the end.
I don't even remember what I said. And doing this exercise more powerfully every single day will allow you to feel this connection all the time.
Nice. Okay.
And so this taught me how to maintain this active state of meditation. Because when you're in such a state of focus, you've got to also realize that the focus needs to be soulful. It cannot be egoic. It cannot be focus coming from a mental state because I'm needing to focus just on the target. It's needing to surrender enough so as to just receive and to allow myself to become the awareness, become the environment, become every aspect of the experience, because I realized all of it was happening intentionally, both to challenge me and to provide the most authentic experience possible. Now, to make the story even more fun, as I said, we were filming this entire experience on this eco-retreat center. And so where I was staying was in this lovely villa. This entire property is powered by wind and solar energy. And so when I was filming this production, one of the main cameramen was also staying in the villa right next to mine. Accidentally left the light on in the kitchen. And this proved to be a minor issue because at some point we had the power going in and out. The electricity was a little bit unstable because it got very cloudy and it actually rained on, I think, day 3 of the production. Well, what happened was, because we were using the technology so much, he was in that house because he was importing all the media from the production the night after it was filmed. And so what happened was, on the second to last day of the production, we had a total darkness retreat. So we blew the power because we were just depleting it completely. And we had to take in a complete off-grid experience right before the last filming day. To this day, I have not seen most of the episodes. I only see them as they're about to come out. And so I have no idea what I talked about. I have no idea how this production looks. What I do know is that I poured my heart into it, and we all worked so hard and with so much love to bring people an experience of what consciousness can look and feel like when it's both delivered consciously in the moment in this very conscious place. So that's a wrap to the journey, but it's just a beginning of this journey of conscious expansion for many people. And so what I hope to do, and the main intention that I know will be channeled because that's the sole thing that I do have control over when I'm in this process, is sharing a certain frequency, sharing soulful connection, sharing love in this very unconditional way, which is the common denominator in every single one of these episodes. Sending love to all of you, and I wish you a beautiful continuation of your consciousness expansion journey.
Yeah.
Series. The making of, exactly.
The making of.
The making of Science of Soul, including special coverage of Kind Denise helped us all day long. She is wonderful. She brought us el jugo, she brought us the cups and everything, and she got us the lunch, and she get the great coverage of me on the beach, and she's the bomb.com, and she drove us here. She drove us almost 2 hours to get to this beautiful beach. Kind Denise is everything.
Yeah, we love Kind Denise.
Yes, we do.
Hate evil.